I saved the best square root property examples for the last, page 3. And before we get into that, let's recall a formula. Well, two formulas for factoring. A squared plus 2 times A plus times B plus B squared equals parenthesis A plus B squared. And A squared minus 2AB plus B squared equals parenthesis A minus B squared. So we're going to be given a mess of an example here in example 5, but we're going to recognize right away that that one left side is going to fit one of these two formulas, and we're going to use it to factor the left side, and then we'll have an isolated expression that's squared, which we will simplify by eliminating the square root with the square root property. Scrolling down to number 5, we are solving x squared plus 18x plus 81 equals 50. Let's start by factoring the left side using the plus formula, a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Okay, so let's rewrite this so it's really clear what this side looks like. For this problem, we have x squared plus 2 times a, whatever a is, well, I know what a is, times b plus b squared. I'll put this in parentheses. Okay, so the a is being played by x, so that this a also has to be x. The b at the end that gives us 81 when we square it, that has to be 9. 9 times 9 is 81. And we'll put that b in this position also, 9. So now do you see what I have here is x squared plus 18x plus 81. Yes, okay, bring down the equal sign, bring down the 50. I just rewrote exactly the left side in a form that looks like what I underlined here, the left side of the formula. Now I'm going to apply the right side of the formula. I'm going to replace all of this by the formula, and that will give me parenthesis, whatever's playing a, that was x, and then a plus sign, whatever's playing the role of b, in this case it was 9, then a parenthesis, then a square, equals the other side. Easy. Okay, so now we have an expression squared equals 50. When would you use this? Anytime that you could look at the left side and say, hey, I could factor that as a perfect square, a binomial squared. And then I'll be able to proceed the way we're going to do now. It's really easy now. Okay, we're going to isolate the x squared, but see, that one's already done. It's already isolated. It already is x minus plus 9 squared, so we don't have to do that step. We can scroll down, apply the square root property. Okay, so we have the x, I'll write it up here, we have the x plus 9 squared, I just bring it down, equals 50. We're going to get rid of the square right now by taking plus or minus the square root of both sides. So we have no more square on the left, equals plus or minus the square root of 50. Okay, so now we're ready to simplify. Let's scroll down to that last step, simplify. All right, so let's see. Inside of that square root, are there any perfect square factors? Yes, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that 25 times 2 is the same as 50. And the reason I like that is because 25 is a perfect square. So let's bust it up that way. X plus 9 equals 20, this plus or minus the square root of 25 times the square root of 2. See, 25 times 2 is 50, so it was legitimate for me to decompose the 50 and break it apart out of the radical using the property of the square root. Now, this part is the square root of a perfect square, so let's simplify that. X plus 9, bring it all down, equals plus or minus the square root of 25 is 5, because 5 squared equals 25. And bring down the square root of 2. Okay, that's as good as it gets for that square root of 50. We cannot simplify it any further. So the last thing we need to do is bring 9 to the other side. So we'll subtract him from both sides. We'll get x equals negative 9, and then plus or minus 5 times the square root of 2. So we have two solutions there. One has the plus sign, and the other has the minus sign. I'll put a box around both of them, and we are finished. Now, I didn't check my answer, but if you very carefully plug that back into the original equation, you will get both sides of that equation equal because that is a valid solution. And that is it.